Is getting protein from protein bars and powders like inherently worse than getting it from more traditional whole food sources like chicken or beef or yogurt or anything like that? Not necessarily, but it kind of depends, just like so many things in nutrition. What I have noticed is that often people are having far too many protein bars and powders. I recommend limiting these to one per day on most days. And this is because we really want diversity in our diets. We don't want to be eating just kind of one thing all day. And that diversity really is key into getting all the different micronutrients that you need. The other thing to kind of think about is that what is the alternative? If you are using a protein bar or powder as a convenience food instead of going to get fast food, instead of grabbing a bag of chips, then it's a better choice. I think protein bars and powders, where they really shine is they are fairly nutritious convenience foods that are really easy to, make and eat, or in a case of a bar, not even make, you're just opening it, and they taste good oftentimes. Now, I personally recommend powders over bars most of the time, and this is because there's a lot fewer additives in protein powders in general than there are in protein bars. Usually, the list of ingredients in protein bars is really long. Oftentimes, they contain fake fibers, a lot of artificial sweeteners, sugar alcohols, things like that. They can make a lot of people feel bloated and constipated and just have digestive issues. So, if it's all the same to you, I recommend doing more of a protein powder versus a bar. Now, we're talking about a convenience food. A bar can fit into your bag or your pocket or be kept in the car a lot of the year. So there is a lot of convenience to that. So it just really depends what you're using it for. But if you are noticing that you are getting bloated or feeling really gassy after having bars, try cutting them out for a little while and see if that helps. So dairy, when you kind of distill it down, I'm not a food scientist, but when you distill it down, you get curds and you get whey. Curds go to make cheese, and whey often used to be thrown out until they started making protein powder with it. I'm sure there's other uses for it, but this is a really big one now. And whey isolate is further distilled to take out all of the lactose, all of the extra carbs, all the other things, so that it is just pretty much just protein, and it isn't going to disturb the digestion for most people. So that's why I recommend, if you're getting a protein powder, look for whey isolate. You will see whey concentrate as well. That's not going to be as distilled. It's going to have more carbs in it. It can make people have some digestive issues if they're sensitive to lactose. So that is something to really keep in mind when you're looking at your protein powders. And often is a really big difference between one that's a little bit more expensive and a little bit less expensive. If the more expensive one is whey isolate, at least you know it's a better product. One of the things I like about whey protein powder is that it is fairly easy to digest and easily absorbed. So this is great if you are going to be having this protein right before or after a workout, because it's going to get absorbed pretty quickly. Your stomach is not going to have to take a lot of time with it, processing it, breaking it down. It can go kind of right through. It gets absorbed fairly quickly in the small intestine. It doesn't need to have a lot of work done to it compared to other proteins. So it can be a little bit more readily available for your muscles to use. One of the downsides of protein powders and bars, and one of the big reasons I recommend limiting them to once a day, is that they are not very filling. 30 grams of protein from chicken is going to be about 4 ounces, which it's a full size serving of chicken, and you are going to be pretty full after you eat that. Where if you have 30 grams of protein from like one scoop of whey, you're not going to be very full. Now, this can be a pro or a con depending on what you're using it for. Again, if you're having it before a workout, whey is great because it's absorbed quickly. It's not going to stay in your stomach, keep you full, make you nauseated. But if you're struggling with hunger, I don't recommend having whey or protein bars. For example, I used to have a protein bar as an afternoon snack. I found that it was actually really bloating for me, and I was still really hungry afterwards. So instead, I started having like a little chicken, cheese, and veggie, like a little wrap. It was great. And that was so much more filling than the bar. And it was the same number of calories, similar macros. And I was full from that afternoon snack until dinner. With the bar, I was hungry like directly after eating it. It did not fill me up at all. Now, like I said, in general, I recommend limiting your protein powder or bar to one per day most days. But let's say you're sick and the thought of food is grossing you out and you want to get some protein. This is where having protein powder can be really helpful because it's really, again, it's really easy to eat, easy to digest. It doesn't feel like a lot. You can sip it slowly. Great when you're sick. Also, when you're traveling, or like I said, any other time where your other convenience foods that you could be eating are not going to be very nutritious, protein bars or powder can be really helpful in, in things like when you're traveling. Or let's say you're traveling, you're at your destination. I will bring some protein powder. I'll mix it into some yogurt in the morning so that I can get a little extra protein in a day when I'm going to be eating out all my meals. I'm not going to be able to get as much protein as I normally would. Please like this video if it helped you, and follow if you want to see more. If you have any questions about what other things that you would like to see me talk about, please leave them in the comments down below.